And if he decides to stand up, I'm going to kickbox the snot out of him. Simple as that.
Would you move up to heavyweight, Jon?
I'll definitely move up to heavyweight. It'll probably be around 2013, maybe at the end of 2013. Right now I have a nutritionist, and I'm starting to take the career a lot more serious than I used to. So my weight cuts are getting a lot easier. I walk around a lot thinner naturally. So like right now I'm like 225, you know, that's a 20-pound cut. That's really easy. So I might look bigger than most people when I'm fighting, but I'm really not, guys.
11 years. Can you believe it? How many fight weeks can it be said we've been waiting for 11 years? No, that's a different world ago. That's 4 fewer UFC divisions ago. That's no women in the UFC ago. Hell, that's like 3 different Jon Joneses ago. When this whole conversation started, Ciryl Gane was still 6 years away from even considering MMA. And that's the funny thing about UFC 285, isn't it? That 23-year-old kid, he already knew. Before all the wins and records and late night controversies, before all the arrests and suspensions and kicks to the guts of the legacy, before DC and DUIs and PEDs, Jon Jones knew. His road to MMA immortality, the difference between being another name on a list and standing alone atop that mountain, it always went through heavyweight. It's been a long time, hasn't it? More than 3 years since that miracle in Houston, that fateful night when he escaped by the skin of his teeth and Dominic Reyes could have ended an era. So much has happened, it may as well be a lifetime. That was a whole pandemic ago. That was 50 pounds and 2 arrests ago. That was 4 different UFC light heavyweight champions ago. And that's the other thing about UFC 285, isn't it? This decision, 11 years in the making, it is coming at a time when Jones is more vulnerable than ever before. Jon Jones hasn't looked like Jon Jones in a while. Let's be honest about that. And maybe that shouldn't come as a surprise. He's always been his own worst enemy. Hit and runs and police body cams, anabolic steroids and handcuff nights. How long, realistically, could this last? When it comes to controversies, Jones is in a league of his own. He is, and always will be, the only fighter in UFC history to be stripped of his belt 3 different times. Eventually, the clock has to run out. Eventually, enough has to be enough. But those other records, they still hold up as well. 15 years unbeaten, 27 pro fights without a legitimate loss, 11 successful title defenses over 2 title reigns, tied for the most ever in UFC history. An inducted UFC Hall of Famer before he's even retired. Go ahead and try. You will not find a more complicated MMA legacy. Just think back to how this all started. 21 years old when he made his UFC debut, Jones was a revelation, a natural from the word go. Flashy and spectacular, impossibly long, flush with raw aggression, limbs like a spider, it was as if he was born to wear 4-ounce gloves. A blue chipper, unlike any who'd come before. Unrefined creativity at its finest. He was inevitable, overnight. The reckoning for a generation of legends at 205. Shogun Rua, Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, Lyoto Machida. Poor Lyoto. He never saw it coming. Every UFC champion before him ground into dust, a decade straight. Who really could stop MMA's one true king? No, Jones was one of the greatest of all time before the age of 30, and those were different days. The Golden Boy, the youngest champion in UFC history, the nice young man who stops a thief in the park the morning of his first title fight. Gustafsson, Belfort, Sonnen, Teixeira, Cormier, he was the first MMA fighter to even attract brands to the table like Nike and Gatorade. No, for all his faults, Jones was the Michael Jordan of MMA's 2010s. You just hoped you didn't have the bad luck of landing in his era. But is the king still the king? That's the question now, isn't it? At age 35, is Jon Jones still Jon Jones, or has the game moved on? The list of fighters who have won UFC titles at both 205 and heavyweight, it is 2 people long. Randy Couture and Daniel Cormier. Jones said he wanted to feel those nerves again. He wanted to feel fear again. That's why he took on this challenge. Well, here it is. After spending all these years laying the groundwork to prove once and for all that he is more than the sum of his physical gifts. Make no mistake, there is legacy on the line at UFC 285. 11 years after that first fateful promise, the time has finally arrived. What will the world say when we tell the story of the great Jon Jones? We'll all know soon enough.
What kind of tricks can we expect from you come Saturday night?
Well, yeah, I definitely started off my career learning how to fight on YouTube, and it really worked for me. Now that I'm training with this great coaching staff, they're just teaching me how to be a more conventional athlete, and definitely still expect the spinning back fists and anything wild like that. It's still definitely there. It's rooted deep in me, but I think you guys will see just a much more well-rounded athlete, and it's just gonna be good. It's gonna be great.
All right, well, the evolution of Jon Jones continues this Saturday night on Spike TV. Good luck, Jon.
Thanks, man.